All right, a pretty tragic story from Las Vegas. A man who was ticketed 19 times was not supposed to be driving, was flying down the street and hit a man and killed him while he was riding a bicycle. Let's check it out.
There's a lot of people on the road right now without their license that are good drivers, but I just know it was basically, that's no excuse.
A man ticketed 19 times, accused of killing a bicyclist, says he needed to drive to make a living. And tonight, our 8 News Now investigators continue to push for answers. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. That crash killed 32-year-old Nathan Miller as he rode his bike.
Only on 8 News Now, our David Charnes is talking with that driver who police repeatedly told not to get behind the wheel. David?
Well, Denise and Brian, Julius Hopkins certainly appears remorseful for what happened here in this video. As we first told you, police and courts told him 19 times not to drive for not having a license, registration, or insurance. Tonight from jail, he tells me that's okay because, in his words, he's a good driver.
Look how fast he was going.
And I tried everything in my power to miss Nathan. I promise you. Like, it was the scariest moment of my life.
32-year-old Julius Hopkins says he'll never forget the night of September 23rd.
I hit the curb, trying to get out of his way. That's when the crash happened.
Video the 8 News Now investigators obtained shows 32-year-old Nathan Miller on that bike when a driver appears to speed and crash into him. Prosecutors estimate Hopkins was going nearly double the 35-mile.
Okay, so he was going double the 35-mile speed limit. You look at those other cars, they were clearly going much slower than this guy.
Per hour limit.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I was not going no 65, 70.
What he doesn't dispute is he doesn't have a license. You have no license, no.
Okay, so he says that's a lie. He claims he's going 5 or 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. So he claims he's going about 40, 45. There is no way that guy was going 40 to 45 miles per hour down the street. When you see other cars behind going much slower than what he's going. That guy was going about 70 miles an hour, clearly from the video.
Insurance, why were you driving?
I've never been in an accident in my life. I wasn't supposed to be driving, yes. I was not supposed to be driving. Those are facts. Those are facts. I've never been in an accident in my life. I never expected something like that to happen in my life.
But the unexpected did happen, even after officers cited him at least 19 times since
no valid license.
2010. You know, you've been pulled over or cited 19 times.
Throughout my life.
Right, that's a lot. That's a lot. And repeatedly told 19 times not to drive, you don't have a license, you don't have insurance, and you're still driving.
I tried to get my license, and they tell me that I can't get my license because of it.
Okay. He tried to look. I have to keep pausing because I don't, copyright issues and things like that. But anyway, 19 times throughout my life. That's what he says, throughout my lifetime. It's only been 19 times throughout my life. So 2010 was, 13 years ago. You've been put over ticketed 19 times for these violations. For no insurance, expired license, revoked license, all these different things, these various things you've been pulled over for. And you're acting like it's small when it's not.
Hopkins owes nearly $2,000 in traffic fines, with 7 open cases in several Clark County courts. Each time he gets pulled over,
they send me on my way. They make it seem like it's not a big deal.
He says he's bending the rules to support his family.
I have to live my life. I have to try to make something happen. I have a wife, I have a kid, I'm a God-fearing man, I'm a father that works. I have to do something. I can't just be a sitting duck just because I don't have a license. Do you understand me, sir?
Now, Hopkins tells me he was not impaired, and the crash report we obtained reveals alcohol and drugs were not involved. But there's no checkbox on the form on those documents we received for how the officer came to that conclusion. Right now, Hopkins is in jail on $50,000 bail. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
David, thank you. Now, we asked Metro Police for a copy of Hopkins' arrest report and are waiting to receive it. Meantime, even though Hopkins says he doesn't have a license, records show prosecutors did drop that charge.
Wow. So they dropped that charge from whenever that was. They dropped the charge. This sounds like, in my opinion, a failure on the justice system on their part. Like he said, they made it seem like it was not a big deal. He tried to use, I'm a God-fearing man, I'm a father, I have to work. Yes, I understand you have to work, but there are ways to get around without a car. There is public transportation, there's Uber, there's Lyft. Does your wife have a car? I've known people who cannot drive. I've known of people who cannot drive, and they're not supposed to be driving, and they find other means to do that. How would you just stop breaking the law? You have all these damn tickets. Do something about it. Now, the guy's sister spoke out about this. The man who lost his life to this horrific situation here. Check it out.
It's because we don't have strict enough laws. We don't have harsh enough consequences or punishments for people. We smack people on the hand and we let them go.
The 8 News Now investigators learning 7 of those 19 cases are open, with Hopkins owing at least 2 courts nearly $2,000 in traffic fines. Who failed?
I think the justice system failed. He should have been held responsible for these many offenses. If that were the case, my brother would still be here today.
As the 8 News Now investigators first reported last week, an officer deemed Hopkins at fault. The crash report says alcohol and drugs.
All right, so she's absolutely right. If he would have been held accountable for all these issues he had, for all these driving issues he had, if he would have been put away at some point instead of getting slapped on the wrist, this likely would not have happened. That's the problem, is that these people get a slap on the wrist, and this is what happens. They continue to break the law, continue to do things because they feel like it's okay. It's not just for driving, it's for a lot of other things too. This is why criminals, like you see in California with this, they can steal merchandise at a very high, up to $900, I believe it is, before anything really drastic happens. It's basically like a slap on the wrist up to that point if you get caught stealing hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise. It's the exact same thing. If you don't have harsh punishments, you're going to continue to have these things happen. Look, 19 times over the last 13 years, something should have happened to this guy. And some of these charges were dropped, like they said. There is a big problem in Nevada with this, clearly. This is the second time I've reported on something like this happening, of people hitting people on bicycles in Las Vegas. This is crazy. I want to know what you think about this. Who is at fault here? Is it negligence on the court system? Is it his fault? Obviously, it's his fault for being an irresponsible human being, owing all this money to these 2 different court systems for these violations, and then the justice system failed by not giving harsh punishments. Still make strict. The law is more strict on these people who don't obey the law. There's no reason why this guy should be driving a car. You don't try to bend the rules, to get ahead. And I get it. You have a family, but you should not be driving. And why were you going 70, 67, almost 70 miles per hour? There's no reason to be going that fast on a 35 mile per hour street limit. So I don't know what he was doing going that fast. They say he wasn't impaired, but a lot of some people are just very irresponsible. They like to drive fast. Maybe he was in a hurry somewhere, but look, the speed limit is 35. You respect that. You respect the laws. You respect the rule of law. The speed limit says 35. You don't go 70. You will kill somebody, and clearly this guy did in this situation. And I feel for the family. The young man, 32 years old, younger than me, had a long life ahead of him. Now it's gone because of this lunatic. And look, $50,000 bail. Well, you pay 10% of that, he's out. He's able to drive again. Crazy. But all right, guys, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care.